I have. This is probably one of the most fitting top 10 lists for the Brainless One, as I give you the top 10 people I hate the most.
Subscribe
The worst.
Honorable mention, I had the whole country of China, just because of the fact that China is the reason why the Brainless One now has had COVID. I'm almost the Ty Dillinger at this point. I've already hit Ferris Bueller's. The next time I'm going to be Ty Dillinger, but I'm not going to be doing the 10, 10, 10. And I'm not going to be coming out 10 at the Royal Rumble either. And I was going to put a certain person who fornicates animals, but I've decided to keep him off the list as well. So, without further ado, the top 10 people the Brainless One hates. Number 10, Captain Cupcake.
Yeah.
I made a little joke about cupcakes and you blocked me, you fat piece of shit. Go fuck yourself, Kevin Owens. Number 9, this one hits close to home, and I know I'm going to get you to break on this one. He was once the 50th best governor in the entire country. Daniel Malloy.
Oh, Daniel.
He was the straw that broke the case. I talk about the cold weather and the snow and the high taxes and the fact that, they just completely eviscerate that entire state. No. It was listening to that fucking retard be our freaking goddamn governor and have to freaking go and do a freaking... I feared every time there was a catastrophe in the state of Connecticut, because his press conferences take 3 times as long as any normal human being, because he has to fit all the ums and uhs in his conversation. We're gonna plow because it's snowing. Yeah, no shit, Dan. Are you just gonna tell us this so you can just raise our taxes so we can pay for the plows? Yeah. The worst. The absolute worst. It's not even the John Raffio thing. He is that fucking bad. I can't stand that motherfucker. And yet the state of Connecticut has no problem with that dude, because they not only elected him again after he was elected originally, but they elected the guy who is just him 2.0. Keep doing what you do in the state of Connecticut. You're never going to see this fucking face there ever again. Except to visit. So they could still,
El Diablo Blanco.
El Diablo Blanco, yes. Number 8, the kid who stole my bike twice. Fool me, steal my bike once.
Douche.
Steal my bike once, shame on you. Steal my bike twice, I'm calling myself the Brainless One 20 years later. Number 7, cowboy fans. Which is funny, too, because I could have said Yankee fans, and I could have said Laker fans, and I could have said Alabama fans and Duke fans, but I figured that if I put Cowboy fans, that hits all of those at the same time, because they're all kind of one and the same. Plus, man, I'm sorry. As much as I hate Eagle fans, Yankee fans, and all that, the Cowboy fans just take the cake. The worst thing that Eagle fans have ever done was throw snowballs at Santa Claus. The worst thing that Cowboy fans ever did was exist. And shit.
Man.
Number 6, since you did mention him on the podcast earlier, Alberto Del Rio. He's just a scumbag. I'm sorry. He's a scumbag. I don't have any respect for him. I don't want to see him in professional wrestling anymore. He had his chance and he blew it. So for me, he makes my top 10. Number 5, I don't even know if I should even say this name, because it's kind of disgusting and just vulgar, and you think what Alberto Del Rio was bad. Number 5, Redacted.
Yeah.
In case anybody's wondering, it's a guy that I really don't like to talk about, because he is a no good, slimy piece of shit that I will never forgive him for what he did. Chris Benoit is number 5. And you're all probably thinking, damn, Brainless One, Chris Benoit is number 5? A man who is rotting in hell next to Art Briles? Who the hell has who hit your top 4? Well, I'm glad you asked. Number 4, Paul O'Neill. I've been watching sports for over 30 years. I've been a Red Sox fan since I was 5. I love my Red Sox. And believe me, I'm one of those Red Sox fans that every year I find somebody on the team I hate. J.D. Drew, Mark Bellhorn, Robbie Ross.
Treasure. He was
Kurt Schilling now.
Kurt Schilling is on the permanent list.
Yeah, too bad he's not in the team anymore because it was Kane Bloom. That fucking doofy fuck. I have never, in all my years of watching professional baseball, which is 35 years, have witnessed anybody whine and cry and complain on a baseball field more than Paul O'Neill. It was to a point where he cried so much, I was convinced that the Yankees had an endorsement deal with Kleenex. He is my least favorite athlete of all time. I fucking hate Paul O'Neill with every fiber of my being. And that says a lot because players like Michael Irvin and LeBron James existed, and I still hate Paul O'Neill more than any of them.
A-Rod.
A-Rod is another one. I mean, pretty much anybody on the Yankees that wasn't either Jeter or not. I was going to say Posada. I love Bob Posada. I love Rivera. After that home opener in 2005, where he tipped his cap to the fans in Boston, gave him a standing ovation, I've loved Mo. That and he helped me win fantasy baseball. That's the only other way you can trump that. Trump. But yeah, Paul O'Neill is not only in my top 4 people I hate the most. There is not an athlete in professional sports I hate more than Paul O'Neill. I don't think there's ever going to be an athlete in professional sports I hate more than Paul O'Neill. Number 3, Kenny Omega. If you need to know why Kenny Omega is number 3, I'm going to give you 3 examples. Number 1, he wrestled a 9-year-old Chinese girl. Number 2, he sticks his fingers up dudes' butts. And believe me, I don't care what you do in your spare time. Go ahead. Whatever floats your boat, Kenny Twinkle Toes. Do whatever you want to do. I don't care. I don't need to see you stick your finger up a dude's butt in a wrestling match. That does absolutely nothing for the presentation of the match. And oh, by the way, the only thing that was worse than that was the fact that he wrestled for 11 minutes against his fuck doll that he shares with Kota Ibushi. In the same match with that fuck doll, he ate 7 consecutive Canadian destroyers and still kicked out at 2. Oh, Kenny, you could have been so much higher, but believe me, pal, it ain't that bad for you. Number 2, especially after the little interaction this morning, the Elite fans definitely cracks my number 2 mark, and only because of the fact that the only thing worse than Kenny Omega is the fans of Kenny Omega. And I can't stand those motherfuckers. They're the worst part about AEW. I don't even drink and they make me want to drink. So cousin Jay, that was 2 through 10. Would you care to venture a guess who number 1 is on my list of people I hate the most?
Matt and Nick Jackson.
For the first time in the history of the top 10 list on this podcast, we have a tie atop the list, and it goes to Nick and Matt Jackson. They shouldn't be on my top number 1 on my list because of the fact that A, if it wasn't for those 2 dipshits, we wouldn't have gotten my hero CM Punk to triumphantly return to WWE and get me excited to watch Monday Night Raw for the first time in ever. Since Bobby Heenan was there. But the fact is that there are a bunch of childish douchebags who are part of the most overrated tag team in the history of professional wrestling who do absolutely nothing to enhance the quality of the product. I hate them more than anything else in this world. I do. I'm going to tell you all this much. If I was locked in a room with Nick and Matt Jackson and Putin and I had a gun with 2 bullets, I'm shooting both of them. And Putin and I are walking out. I fucking hate them more than anything else in this world. I really do. I really do. There's not a redeeming quality about them. Balding fucks. Freaking babies. They're not EVPs. Just a bunch of freaking grown children that freaking got fake titles just to make themselves feel better about themselves because nobody in professional wrestling gives a shit about Nick and Matt Jackson. Ever.
Yeah.